Hi, Anti-Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out P1Harmony's Killin' It album part 2 with these songs. We have 3 songs left, not including I See You. So we have Tonight, Let Me Love You, and Street Star. Very interesting. We ended off the last reaction with Emergency, which was not only an out-of-body experience, but also felt like this turning point in the vibe of the album. Which brings me to something that I got a comment on the first part of this, of someone saying, hey, I think that you're reading too much into the story of the album, to which I say, I know. I didn't spend like, what, it's gonna be close to 4 hours meticulously analyzing every song of this album, unaware that I was putting too much into it. I get it. I just really like media literacy. Let me have this, okay? So anything that I say about, hey, this is what I feel like the story is, or the story that I'm pulling apart from this album, that's just for me. I just like having a story. I like having a narrative. It like solidifies the album for me. But I'm excited to see what these last few songs are going to be and how we get to I See You as like the end vibe of this, because Emergency was definitely felt like a shift in so much of the sound and vibe of what we're getting from this album. Tonight, which is interesting to me, we've had lots of like night imagery in this from like a bunch of the different songs, of just like this feeling of being at nighttime. We also had the Late Night Calls video that was also like in that kind of darker night evening setting. So interesting that there's just like a lot of night dark imagery throughout this album as well. Ooh. That's a cool synth. It's almost like a guitar, but like a very like tinny guitar. Oh, okay, first off, bass line. The bass line in this, fantastic. Second, super fun with the little like ad-libs, little things, especially in Talk's part. Super fun. Jung, I need you to like not do the lower range. Thank you. Don't drastically switch into that. No. No. See, that's a guitar.
We gonna party like.
No, I know I'm interrupting right before the drop. I get it. What did I just say about going into a lower range suddenly? Inthok, stop. Okay, no. Okay, thoughts. I like that we're going from like Emergency, right? Which is very much this like panic feeling, right? Like this, oh no, I'm like trying to like work through what I've been feeling or ignoring it, or like I was saying how it feels like there's this strange whiplash in this album of these very confident performance, being an idol, and the energy of getting to perform in front of a crowd and perform in front of fans. Energy in some of the songs contrasting a lot with these like slower, more introspective, vibey songs. So having the contrast between those and switching between them, and then getting to Emergency, which felt like this huge mix-up of like almost what do you do when you figure out that living a lifestyle where you can have that persona of a performer contrasting with kind of the loneliness and introspection and lack of grounding in your personal life, right? When those two things contrast with each other, the performance persona versus the like person that you actually are in your everyday life when you walk off of stage, right? And kind of managing that. And Emergency felt like this panicked realization of, let me just run away from the fact that I'm realizing that this is all like falling apart. And I think that it's interesting to now have a song like Tonight, which is about, hey, I don't want to have a conversation. I don't want to have like thoughts like this idea of, hey, let's just get lost in getting able to like dance and in like the present moment, and let's just have a moment that is separate from all of that, but also less of this feeling of being like on stage for that feeling. A lot of the stuff before this has felt like them chasing that feeling of let's just get lost in this moment right now as a performer, as opposed to this, which feels more like a going out and dancing, right? Like they talked about like the DJ selecting your song or whatever. It feels a little bit different than being someone who's like on stage and as a persona. So it's like trying to maybe sink into some of that persona, but in like your personal life, maybe as escape. Again, I know I'm reading too much into it. Totally fine. I'm just having fun. But like the bass line, the cool synths, whatever drop we're about to get, I'm not ready.
turn it up. We're gonna party like.
Oh no, here we go. Rat-ta-ta-ta on the floor. 그대로 멈춰 24. Tonight we'll be going like. Oh no, here we go. Rat-ta-ta-ta, let him know. 이대로 달려 24. Tonight we gon' party like. 점점 더 turn it up. 시간은 furious. Oh 내 밤. What you gon' do? What you gon' do tonight? Don't be shy. 다가와. 네가 난 curious. Oh 내 밤. Tonight we gon' party like this.
No, you cannot give me a drop into a bass line. The way that this song is so bass heavy. Because I was expecting something like we got a little bit more in the second half of the chorus, of a bit more of a party lift in all the instrumentation, but instead of it having that bass line, first up, obsessed. Love bass so much. Second, the vocal melodies, I was gonna say like, Jung on this song, his voice sounds incredible. And then he was like, hang on, I'm just gonna flip up into a falsetto real quick. I'm gonna do a little vocal run. And then Kyo's like, I cannot be outdone. Let me just meet you there and add a little flavor to it. Incredible vocals happening. Love the group vocals here. Love the 24/2 night, like kind of the sounds that are similar between those, right? Continuing some of the sound patterns between those. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with this like bass line in this drop, especially for something that feels like, again, almost like grounding someone, right? If we're talking about escaping from something, having a bass line is like very grounded down to be like, music might be turned up. There might be like loud sonically and all of that, especially on like big speakers. If you have a good bass line, you could like feel it in your chest, right? When you're in a party or a club or concert and they have the huge speakers, it just like reverberates through you. So I think it's so cool having the heavy bass line, but then also as something that kind of like grounds you in your body, right? Because you can like literally like feel the sound in a way that you can't with higher octaves, and then giving them some space with their voices to have a little more higher range in some of it, but they're also like digging into some of those darker tones. Obsessed with it.
We're gonna party like.
Oh no, here we go. Rat-ta-ta-ta on the floor. 그대로 멈춰 24. Tonight we'll be going like. Oh no, here we go. Rat-ta-ta-ta, let him know. 이대로 달려
The drums coming through too.
Tonight we gon' party like. 점점 더 turn it up. 시간은 furious. Oh 내 밤. What you gon' do?
That vocal rundown is
잠깐 hold up 참에 99 다시 흘러 oh oh 굴러봐 다시 굴러가 아침부터 밤 99 다시 hold up
기다려 hold up.
날 follow
I'm the controller.
we need to stop doing this. We need to stop doing the like call and response. Someone is going to be in a much deeper range thing that's happening on this. Okay. I was not prepared mentally for that. But also interesting now that I'm thinking, I was talking about earlier in the album about how there has this almost like seesaw whiplash feeling of the energy of the songs, of super high party energy, like concert, filling a venue kind of songs. And then these like much softer, lo-fi kind of introspective songs, literally having some of that seesaw effect in the voices, right? Like we have Theo higher up and then Intok coming in at much lower range, and that kind of like call and response of the ups and downs of literally like the cadences that they're choosing. It is like a clever way to get that like very stark switch between those by switching who's singing. Also, we have the oh no in the chorus, and then we have the uh-oh here again, which for all of the fun kind of dance vibes of lose yourself in just like dancing and enjoying the music and being in the moment, having oh no and uh-oh as not great things to say, right? There's a little bit of a like worry in that. So I think that's interesting to have those included as well. I'm obsessed with the bass line though.
참에 99 다시 흘러 oh oh 굴러봐 다시 굴러가 아침부터 밤 99 다시 hold up
기다려 hold up.
날 follow
I'm the controller.
oh my god 올려봐 go up bass drop but I'm not turning down I'm on my
Sorry, couple of things. One, we had the oh my god, which again is not necessarily like a great thing to be saying, but also, isn't that Kyo? Or am I crazy? I don't actually know. I just had a moment where I was like, anyway.
기다려 hold up.
날 follow
I'm the controller.
oh my god 올려봐 go up bass drop but I'm not turning down I'm on my
I might be wrong. It's a bit of a lower range from Theo, if it is.
We're gonna party like
Oh no, here we go. Ratatata on the floor. 그대로 멈춰 24. Tonight, tonight we'll be going like oh no, here we go. Ratatata, let them know. 이대로 달려 24. Tonight, tonight we gon' party like.
Ooh, I was expecting for us to go back into some of the like craziness of the music, and they're like, no, we're going right into the bridge. Also, I cannot believe that one of my favorite groups just gave me a song where the chorus is basically just bass and drums, because that is like my life. That is what I want and am obsessed with in every song that I listen to. And they're like, we got you. How am I supposed to pick a favorite song? I was so sure in the previous half of this album where I was like, I think I know what my favorite song is. And I'm like, well, dang it. The lucky thing is that I get to listen to all of them. I don't actually have to just pick a song. A whole song where the chorus is just a bass. I can't.
Oh, here we go. Ratatata, let them know. 이대로 달려 24. Tonight, tonight we gon' party like.
Love that drum fill too.
Going all night. Fly with me, stay with me, ride with me. Let's get it started.
Gorgeous vocal. Ooh, I think we got some more synths coming through. Just gonna party out. Ooh. Love how he pulled up his chest voice there. Dang! It's unfair for them to give me a song like that. Love at the end, it was almost like they put the bridge like in between a chorus. Like we got a couple of bars with the chorus that had the kind of stripped back bass and drums, and then they had the bridge at the end and then launched right in to the chorus with like more of those like synths and energy to it. So it was almost like they just kind of plopped it in the middle, which is really interesting and mixes up the form of the song, right? It adds a little bit of interest. It took me by surprise that we weren't like launching into more of the chorus again. So I love that they were playing around with some of that, even with having a little more minimal stuff going on production wise, and relying on that bass line to bring us through the whole thing. I'm obsessed with that song. Their voices sounded great on it. Jung specifically, I don't know what it was about his voice on this one, but his voice is amazing in general, but specifically on this one. Loved getting some like kind of softer vocals from the like Intak and Dugsub, is like usually more in a rap place, right? And getting something that was more of a like soft vocal on a song like this, where you could bring some more energy or bite to the song if you were to bring in some of those more rap cadences, but instead they were like, no, let's just keep everything smoothed out and fun and let a lot of the music carry some of that. And I love the vocal melodies, like I was saying, like flipping up into that falsetto and then having that nice like vocal run down into a lower part of their voices, and all those little like moments of them using their voices. I've said it before, using their voices as like instrumentation in the mixing is always so much fun. But it just, I don't know, it feels like even though it was fun, there are like little moments where I'm like, it still feels like there's something off kilter about it. Does that make sense? Like again, with the oh no, uh-oh, oh my god, even the like ratata in the chorus, like there's just these like little moments where it almost feels like someone who is aware that what they're doing is, I don't know, like a bad coping mechanism in some ways. And maybe that's just like me within the context of the other songs and the narrative that I'm putting together for it. And even like the jarring feeling of having those higher vocals and then the lower vocals, even sometimes pulling out some of the instrumentation for those lower vocals. Some of that's just to push that forward, because lower vocals tend to not have, they can't quite cut through production as well as like higher vocals, because I can't sit on top of it. So some of that might just be like the mixing to ensure that those lower vocals can be heard properly. But it also adds to the jarring feeling of switching rapidly between those two voices. I don't know. I loved it though. I'm listening to it all the time because The bass line alone has sold me on that song. Also, I was looking in the comments, and I think I was right about that one part where it says it was in the previous song where it said it was Theo, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Kyo. Anyway, Let Me Love You. If you're asking nicely, I am interested about where we're headed sonically, right? Because I feel like we've shifted a bit into the second part of the album. So I don't know what this is going to be. Are we going to be mellow again? Are we going to be lo-fi? Are we going to be hype energy? I don't know. Ooh.
I'll be good. Let me love you.
I just finished saying that having bass was that prevalent in a song with Tonight was a lot. And y'all are gonna start with some fun dunk sub vocals and then give me a bass line like that and like some guitar? No.
I'll be good. Let me love you.
It's a funky synth as well. I love that they have the Be a Hero because isn't that like a whole vibe of this, right? They have like comic book related stuff in the art and like stages, and they had some of that in the like Killin' It music video as well. So I love that that's being brought in near the end of the album, right? In like the last few songs. I love his performance so much. I love the like onomatopoeias that he brings in. He has so much fun. Like the main character is still you. For personal reasons, I'm going back.
If you ever need anything, just say the word. There's nothing that I wouldn't do.
Ooh, fun melody. Ooh, sorry. I know we're getting to the drop, but what do we do when we have soul vocals? We go back. We go back and we listen again, especially since he wasn't in the last song, which is fine. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. I get that he has his ups and downs when it comes to how he feels about his singing voice, but we go back and we listen to soul vocals again every time, consistently. Okay. Love the fun melodies though there, like descending and again, like the bass lines in this. And I love this idea of like being a hero and like running in. I'm upset that we don't have a video for this because you know that is there a video of some kind? I feel like there should be because you're telling me that these lovingly dorks did not want to dress up like superheroes and play at that for the whole music video? Of course they did. Of course they did. I've seen their music videos. I know what they're like. So I feel like they would have had so much fun. He could have dressed up as a hero or whatever. But I love that even when there's no signal, like I'll still, even though like, like the like phone call, like sending out a single thing, saying I'll always be there to come and help. I'll always come in running, like just say the word and all of that. Just let me know and I'll be on my way. I love that sentiment. That's so cute.
Just let me love you, gonna be right there for you. So wait for me, love me, yes I do. You should just let me love you, you should let me adore you. So wait for me, Anjana, yes I do. You should just, you know that I need your love, I need your love, I need your love. You know that I need your love, I need your love.
I can't with this album. I can't. No. Because again, the bass line, that like more like staccato delivery of it was a nasty drop. I don't have full words. I don't. I'm just going to listen to it again. Ooh, the layered vocals too in the back. Oh, that bass is nasty on this though. Theo, stop. Oh my god, his voice. Stop just like lightening up your voice. Stop just like thinning it out, just like flipping up into a falsetto. I need him to stop being so good at singing, okay? I chopped up this album into multiple parts, as many as I could for the sake of like brevity, as best as I can. I know that this video is still probably gonna be pretty long, but also for the sake of my sanity. It's been a little bit since I filmed the first half. Have I been listening to the songs on the first part of this album? Yes, I have. But I didn't expect to like immediately be ready to fight with how good these songs are. And you put them at the end of your album. No, okay? And like all of the synths that are happening, there's a like synth, it's almost like a bass, but it's also a bit of a synth in it. I thought it was the bass line at first, but it's actually got like a synth sound to it when it gets like a little bit higher. But it's following that melody of the "Let me love you." It's like following that, but also just like having that bass and some of the like staccato delivery makes me think of almost like an old like heist film, like the music cues for that. Almost like a bit of a like Mission Impossible feeling to the overall like vibe of having that like specific kind of melody and very chopped up. There's space in between the different parts of it, so it almost has that vibe to it, which is also really fun of, hey, let me like be kind of like the hero of the story, let me be the main character or help you on your journey of that, let me help out in this kind of scenario or whatever. There's like one synth that has this crashing or breaking sound to it, and it makes me think of their song Scared, that kind of like industrial almost like breaking sound that they had in that, and it's buried in the mixing of this, which by the way was it's probably still my favorite lead single from them. For all of the great songs that they've had between now all the way back to Scared, probably still one of my favorites. There's just something about that song, and maybe it's just because that was like the first comeback. My brain is just like a fondness or nostalgia for that one. Anything that reminds me of that, I'm like, yes, okay. But like the layered vocals, like they have a deeper like harmony in the back as well. There's just so much. There's so much happening in the chorus. What's the warble on that guitar? Ooh, okay, sorry. I'm sorry, soul darling, I am. We'll listen to your part and I will appreciate with everything that I have. But Killin put a little bit of, I don't know, rasp into his voice there. There's like a little bit of rasp in it. I know, but there's one synth in the back of this, and I cannot for the life of me figure out if it's actually a synth or if it is a voice that has been distorted and put into the back. But it has this like almost like lip trill sound to it. There's so many things going on in this. It's so fun though. Especially, I just love the "let me love you," elongating that and like adding this like space in between it is so fun, and it adds like a little breath in between each of them, right? Like it pulls you in to their voices and how they're singing, and then it all goes off with the instrumentation and the like this part.
Just one time 네 손 놓지 않아 난 아무런 말도 없이 눈빛으로 you know right 걱정 말고 기다려 Here I'm ready you're not 때론 친구처럼 네 작은 손 잡아줄게 if you just
I'm sorry, I know I'm interrupting, but the cute holding your hands like a friend, cute, okay? As someone who streamed BFF probably too much, okay? I got called out a little bit because I was talking about my Spotify Wrapped, and people were like, why did you stream BFF so much? I was like, hey, it's a bop. The vibe of that song is how I want to start my day, okay? So anytime there's a call up, I'm like, yes, okay? Anyway, but then the vocal coming through, and then like the beeping sound.
걱정 말고 기다려 Here I'm ready you're not 때론 친구처럼 네 작은 손 잡아줄게 if you just
What did I say, Theo, about the vocals? And then it's funky. Sorry, was there a little like record scratch in there? Again, unfair for them to give me a bass line like that. And also to remind me of heist films, because as someone who loves a good heist spy thriller moment, don't do that to me, okay? No. Theo on this track, vocals were good, amazing. And I think partly because he is such a beautiful like falsetto like upper part of his voice that having that bass line in contrast just elevates it, right? It just adds like such a distance between what's happening with the production and his voice that it just lets it shine really well. Love that we got some soul moments. His just like really soft, sweet vocals. I think it was a great way to go into the chorus to change up some of the vibe for that. Thought the cadences were super fun, as per usual from P1Harmony as well. I also really like that this song where they were talking about, hey, anytime like you need me, or just send out the signal, or talk about like phone calls or whatever. I think that's so interesting to have this near the end of the album, not only because we have the ICU, which feels very much like a little cute recognition of fans. Maybe that's just because they had the video of them being on tour and like interacting with fans and stuff, but having that be like the end of the album, and then you have like late night calls at the beginning, which is like a lack of communication, right? This like wanting to communicate, wanting to be in touch with someone and feeling lonely and isolated, and then this song talking about, hey, I can be the one who like almost initiates some of that, right? It's less about longing and being stuck in your own head and overthinking things and therefore being stuck in place. And this song is more about like, hey, if you need me, I will jump into action, no questions asked, ready or not. And it feels like a talking to fans, right? It feels like a, hey, I can be someone who is like communicative and will show up and is going to be there to take your hand and help you through stuff, like to be your hero if you want me to. And I love having that like shift between those 2 points throughout the album. And even going to Tonight, even though it feels like it has a little bit of an off-kilter feeling to it, again, it feels like this stopping, separating who you are as a person from the persona, right? Even though it has this like fun, dancey feeling to it, like the lyrics in it, it feels less about them being like separated on a stage as a performer, controlling a crowd or like having that kind of idol persona, and it feels more like being someone who is just like in the crowd with everyone else. So it's like shifting that story from starting with like emergency of being like, oh no, it's weird to have this like contrast between these 2 points, this separation between these 2 parts of me, going into Tonight, which is like bringing them together in a way that is like fun, and I'm not going to think too hard into it, I'm not going to like overanalyze, going back to being stuck in circles of thought and like ponderings and not being able to get out of that, and being like, hey, I'm just going to lose myself in this moment, and then having Let Me Love You be almost this, I want to not have that like separation between the people that I want to be communicating with. And maybe a lot of this is about them again as idols, and maybe the people they want to connect with could be fans, could be other people in their life, of them saying, hey, I need to like close that gap and be someone who can show up and be someone who will always be there to answer the call. Whether that again is them talking specifically to fans, this feels like a little bit more of a nod towards that, but it could also just be other people in their life of, hey, let me be someone who shows up and can like answer the calls and can help you through stuff and will always be there if you need me to. And what was that, like the one of Soul's lines was like, let me be your everything or whatever, which is really cute. So saying, hey, just give me the chance, and I promise that I'm going to put in the effort to do that, instead of sitting around waiting, hoping that you'll call me or that I could make the call. Or, oh, what was the other song where they talked about almost like leaving stuff unread? It was one of the other songs. Hang on. Love Song was their other one. They had that similar vibe, right? Of like someone who wasn't able to like respond to calls or stuck in waiting for the other person to make the first step, right? That whole song felt very much of this one-sided, I think I know how you feel, but I want you to say it first so I don't make a fool of myself. Whereas this feels more of someone like taking more initiative. And I think that's really fun to have that shift in the narrative going into like the end of the album. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit worried about this one because like Street Star, what does that mean? What are we doing? But also I've already heard the last song in this album with I See You, and I'm like, oh, usually the last song of their album is something that is either like a ballad or it's like uplifting, right? It's something a bit softer. It's usually like a little cute moment of them acknowledging their fans or whatever at the end of their album. This is not the last song of the album. This is just the last song that I am checking out. So I'm like, this could be anything. And I'm a little bit scared. All right. Especially since the other 2 songs I've checked out in this video, are they my favorite tracks? I don't know anymore. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and listen to everything on this album, probably a lot. And then maybe I will come to some kind of decision, but I'm not sure. What does street star mean in this case?
I'm the street star. 나를 주목해. 검은 먼지처럼 내고 뛰어올라가 when the beat starts. 함성이 들려. What's your wow? Let's get loud. I'm a street star.
What have I already said in this video about you just suddenly going into deeper vocals? We had one like in the back, like an ad lib. Why are we starting with a car starting? I get like street, but I wasn't ready.
I'm the street star. 나를 주목해. 검은 먼지처럼 내고 뛰어올라가 when the beat starts.
What's that like synth in the one side of the mixing?
I'm a street star. I'm the street star. 거칠었던 정보. 까맣죠 난 노력 끝에 삶을. Don't diddy don't diddy don't diddy day. 말했어 뭐해 I'll just show my way. Came about the street. 가로등 불빛과 피. Spotlight time. Been out now. Spotlight I bring the beat. Can't pick another beat. That in a kid kicking a team. Yeah. Single 상향 shit. Came about my street.
Ooh, there's so many like synths happening. There's so many synths happening. All right, wait. The line, the product of my efforts, that's a bar. To be like, I am the result of all of the effort and time I have put in to making myself be as good as I am. Especially for an album called Killin. They start off strong and confident, as they usually do. And this is them being like, hey, everything that I've accomplished is because I've put in the effort to make that happen. And I just show my way of being like, hey, I'm just doing what fits with who I am. And you could be upset about it if you want, but I'm just going to do it my own way. I really liked the contrast of like light and dark, like the spotlight and then like now twilight, I bring the light. So then like again talking about nighttime, I was talking before like lots of different images of night and I guess like twilight, dusk, darker times of like light fading away and bringing that back in of hey, it doesn't matter if it ends up getting dark or I can see like the shadows creeping in. I bring my own light with me, right? I love the pick another beat. The sky gets closer is a good line too. Ooh, I love the way they're using Soul's softer vocal to go into the drop. Ooh, okay, look. I love all of the layered vocals of the shouting, like layering them all like, over top of each other. They're like winning. I overcome it like a miracle. That's so cool too. Again, them talking about how much success they've had. And I've talked before about how I felt like when they did Jump, I started to see more people noticing, right? I saw more people talking about P1Harmony, making videos about them, discussing them, becoming fans of them. And it made me super excited as someone who like accidentally became a fan of them at their debut purely by chance. I don't even know how I discovered them because I didn't even discover them with Siren. The first song I heard was Nemone. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. It was a weird place for me to be introduced, but it worked. And ever since then, I've just been like trying to find more people who love this group as much as I do. And I feel like with Killing It in this album, they just like took another step towards that success. So I love that they're bringing some of that in, like acknowledgement of saying, hey, not only have we like put in a bunch of work, managed to debut, had multiple comebacks, we've also gotten to this point of getting to release their first like full album, them having more input on what that album was going to be and like what the music was going to be. I'm so excited to check out more of the behind the scenes and stuff of this as well. And like them getting to this point, like this feels like very victorious. And even like the chaotic sense of this and them being like, okay, we're going to do this our own way. We're going to do this in alignment with our style and who we are. And it's going to be loud and it's going to be chaotic and it's going to be cheeky. And if you don't like it, you came to my street, right? Like you showed up in my neighborhood. Don't be mad that you didn't find what you were looking for. Like it has that feeling of like Street Star being both like this coming from like the underdog, right? Someone who I think of performing like more like a busking or like trying to get people to go to your shows, right? By being out on the streets and like talking to people and convincing them to pay attention to like your music and your talent and putting in the legwork of getting to where they are. But like such a chaotic chorus. Am I gonna listen to it again? Yes. That build up though. I'm sorry. I tried to hold it. I did. Ugh, I've been talking too much. It's fine. My lungs are just having a rough time being lungs, as they tend to do. It's fine. I'm recovering. But I love that pullback because of the instrumentation, the production there. There's like a little pause in it. It's fine. We're fine. Intuck, on behalf of everyone, don't make those sounds. Unnecessary. Don't. No, see, I can't go back. I can't listen to it again, okay? No. Carry on, Theo. Ooh. Sorry, that like descending, I know, look, Intuck, behave yourself. But that descending melody and then the almost like warbling synth in the back? No. But changed levels? That's so good. I like bring the like beat forward that we had in the previous songs. Ooh, that like wind down as well. Dang. Again, like the production is wild on this in the best way, especially them saying it's getting loud and just like bringing some of that in. Again, like some of that chaotic energy and crazy production stuff that they've been doing for a while. And them just being like, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to be our own person. And if that means that we're going to find the people that mesh with that. And we're used to working hard, right? We're used to putting in the legwork. We're used to having to fight for what we've got. We'll do it again. Like just having that energy. I love that. The bass line. I am paying attention, sweetie pie. I know he's trying to be cool. I know he's like rapping. He's got like a little bit of rasp in his voice. He's trying to have a cool moment, but that's our sweetie pie. Probably not. That's a wild synth to end on. Having Jungsup end on that one, drag out the like last syllable, putting in like some like the vocal fry into that, just kind of like lazily lit it off. Wild song. But also I love this in contrast, I feel like, to Killin' It, right? Like the whole album is Killin' It, but we also have the lead single of that, and that song having a lot of confidence and bravado to it, and saying like, we know that we're killing it, that we're being successful, that we have all of this potential and people are like paying attention to us and what we're creating. And I love that this is, again, like not exactly the end of the album, but capping off near the end of it, having a similar confidence, but again in this like acknowledging that, hey, we're not from one of the big companies. We didn't blow up immediately. We've had to put in a ton of work to get to where we're at, and have gotten to this point of having a full-length album, and then like having a moment to be like, hey, we understand we've had to put in work. We're okay with that. We're a result of our efforts, and we're going to continue to be successful. Every time they put out something new, they get a little bit more attention, a little more acknowledgement, a little more space to take. Even saying like new stage, you can say that like stage as in going through different stages or like levels, but also like a new stage as in being able to perform on like bigger spaces in new places and have like more shows that they're able to perform on because they continue to have more success. They continue to be able to sell tickets for those shows. So I love them just like having a moment to be like, hey, we might be not superstars in the way that you might think of. We might be street stars, but that just means that we know how to fight for what we want. We're a little bit scrappy in what we do. We're a little bit more ready to like improvise and make do with what we have. And we're not going anywhere. We're ready for that, like that fight, for that effort, because having to work for what we've got isn't something new to us. And I love having that confidence. Again, like at the end of this album, to bookend those two ends, and then having ICU being more of like towards the fans and a bit of a softer sound, and them acknowledging them. This one almost being like a promise, we're going to keep working, right? We're not going anywhere. We're going to keep working. And here's to like the next big thing that we're going to accomplish. So I think it's fairly safe to say that I love that album. I knew that I would, because I've loved P1Harmony for a really long time, but I also think that it's really interesting, like the structure of this album. Again, I know, am I reading too much into it? Probably, but I think it's really interesting that we have Emergency about the halfway point. And again, like it felt like this pulled in two directions. There's this strange duality to the beginning of this album of, again, that like confidence and like stage persona of what they are on stage, right? Like P1Harmony as like the idol group, the kind of like swagger and confidence that they bring to all of their performances, in stark contrast to these like softer, lo-fi, more like melancholy, lonely sounding introspective songs, and having this like contrast between those two things, like battling each other out. And then you get Emergency, which is them falling apart at the seams like a little bit. Like there's this kind of this panicked feeling, and then you get into the second half and it feels more of them being like remembering what they're doing this for, right? Like I was saying, like tonight feels like someone becoming more part of a crowd as opposed to being an entertainer outside of a crowd, and remembering how much they love like music and performance, and just like being around people who love music and being lovers of music themselves, as opposed to people like making music. And then getting into Let Me Love You, which feels more of a, again, like active person, as opposed to some of the songs before, which were very like passive. I want to be able to say all the things that I feel about this person. I want to be able to express myself and not be stuck in this lonely introspection, but not taking that initiative, not taking that first leap. And then Let Me Love You is about, okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna Hail Mary, and I'll be there if you need me. And if you don't need me, or if you're not interested, then there's that. But again, like taking that initiative, and whether that is like them wanting to be more active in like the people they care about, like in their actual lives, or if that is about them wanting to be more connected to their fans. I think that there's an interesting thing there as well, of because we get into Street Star, which feels like remembering where they've come from, right? Like their roots of working hard and coming from a smaller company and having to claw their way up a little bit to the successes that they've had now, instead of like being overwhelmed by some of that, with succeeding in anything and having more eyes on you is always like very anxiety inducing and can be a lot for people. Remembering where they've come from, and I can see that with Let Me Love You too, if it's talking to fans of let me remember why I make music, instead of being this like swagger, braggadocious bravado of a stage persona that is very much like separated from the people that they're performing for, right? They're on a stage and their fans are in the audience, of them more like connecting with them again and wanting to have hold your hand and be a friend and to be someone that you can call on and rely on, right? Breaking down some of that and getting into like Street Star of being, again, like at street level, as opposed to being like up high on some kind of like pedestal, or being separated from people who are just like walking around and going about their lives, of them kind of remembering their roots and why they're here. And then having ICU be like, again, like literally saying, hey, I see you, I acknowledge you, I know that you're there, and feeling like something that's very much like towards their fans, as opposed to them kind of having something to prove a little bit in some of their more, again, like confident songs like Killin' It and like Everybody Clap, even like Countdown to Love, right? Like those felt more of a like performance venue song, like being on stage and them having something to prove, as opposed to getting into the last half of this album. But I hope you enjoyed listening to that along with me. You can click this place to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a P1Harmony reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.